Remember Randy Taylor from Home Improvement? The snarky, hilarious middle child who had the whole 90s glued to their TV screens? That was Jonathan Taylor Thomas, a teen star who seemed to have it all. But what happened after he walked away from the show before its final season? Once a household name in movies and TV, JTT put his career on hold for college and has appeared so rarely since that spotting him today is almost as unlikely as seeing Bigfoot. In this video, we dive into the heartbreaking and mysterious story of one of the 90s biggest teen idols. Grab your toolbox. It's time to find out. WTF happened to Jonathan Taylor Thomas? A fishing nut that turned into a megastar. Jonathan Taylor Thomas was born Jonathan Taylor Weiss on September 8, 1981, in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Shortly after, his family relocated to Sacramento, California, where he enjoyed a carefree childhood filled with outdoor adventures. "I've always been this fly fishing nut," he told The Morning Call in 1996. "It's my favorite thing to do, to stand in a stream in the middle of nowhere and cast out my line." It was the perfect, serene start to a life that would soon take a very different turn. Not long after, the nature-loving kid became a rising star. He moved to Los Angeles with his mother and brother, changed his professional name to Jonathan Taylor Thomas, borrowing Thomas from his brother's middle name, and began landing acting roles. His first major part came in 1990 as Kevin Brady on The Bradys, followed by a memorable sketch on In Living Color, where he played Macaulay Culkin trying to keep a mischievous Michael Jackson out of his house. Then, in 1991, at just 10 years old, Thomas landed the role that would define his early career, Tim Allen's son, Randy, on Home Improvement. With charm, wit, and a natural on-screen presence, he brought the mischievous yet lovable middle child to life, quickly becoming a fan favorite across America. Home Improvement wasn't all jokes and laughs for Jonathan Taylor Thomas. While Jonathan Taylor Thomas cherished his time on Home Improvement, life as a member of the Taylor family wasn't always easy. Over 7 years, he starred in 179 episodes, often spending more than 9.5 hours a day on set while juggling a full day's worth of schoolwork and homework. On top of that, he made sure to carve out time for friends, something he considered essential. "The industry is neurotic and weird," he told Premiere magazine in 1996. "And so when I go home and I play basketball with my friends, I'm not Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I'm just Jonathan." Thomas also opened up about the pressures of balancing fame with his personal life in a 1994 interview with People. "You have school, friends, learning your lines and making sure your performance is up to speed. I can't tell you how many shows I've done with full-blown migraine headaches," he admitted, highlighting the intense demands placed on him as a child star. Lion King wasn't a jungle cruise for Jonathan Taylor Thomas either. Lion King producer Don Hahn was full of praise for Jonathan Taylor Thomas, telling People, "We looked at dozens and dozens of actors before choosing Jonathan," Hahn explained, "but we saw him on Home Improvement and just thought his voice was right. It gives him a very distinctive character." Thomas worked on The Lion King for 2 years, often bouncing between the recording studio and the Home Improvement set on Disney's Burbank lot. "Simba's like me," he told People. "Really curious, fun-loving, always getting into mischief." But voicing Simba wasn't as easy as letting his natural personality shine through. Thomas spent long hours in front of the microphone to capture every nuance of the character. The team was so dedicated to authenticity that, as Hahn recalled, "We darn near beat him up when we were recording. The crew would rough him up before takes so he could convincingly mimic the sounds of a lion cub being chased by a stampede or fending off hyenas, pushing both actor and character to life with every recording session." Jonathan Taylor Thomas hated being called JTT. While Jonathan Taylor Thomas loved acting, he never enjoyed the fame that came with it. In numerous interviews, he expressed how much he disliked the constant attention and intrusion into his personal life, including being plastered on magazine covers. In a 1998 interview with Conan O'Brien, he acknowledged the perks of his celebrity, like his big fancy SUV, but admitted he was often exhausted by the relentless swarming of fans. He recalled one moment in New York's St. Patrick's Cathedral when a fan approached him for an autograph while he was lighting candles, prompting him to politely ask, "Can we step outside?" Beyond the constant attention, Thomas also grew tired of his nickname, JTT. In that same interview, he told O'Brien, "I'm over that. I've always been over that." While he remained courteous, he made it clear that he preferred to be called by his real name rather than the moniker fans had created. The writing was on the wall for Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Jonathan Taylor Thomas's aversion to fame wasn't the only reason he eventually stepped away from the spotlight. From the beginning, he had always been clear about his long-term goals, and acting wasn't necessarily part of them. In a 1996 interview with Premiere magazine, he reflected on the careers of child stars, noting that many of his young co-stars struggled to prepare for life after showbiz. But JTT was already thinking ahead. "Every job has an end. I mean, it's not the end of your life. You can't base your life around one thing," he explained. He added, "That's why I focus on school. I play sports. I learn the technical side of filmmaking. Because sometime it'll change, and I'll have my education to fall back on." His pragmatic approach to fame was a clear example of his level-headedness. Rick Rogers, a former editor at the 90s teen magazine Bop, described Thomas as wise beyond his years, even joking that it was as if a 40-year-old were hiding inside the 10-year-old star. This thoughtful perspective set him apart from many of his peers and made his eventual departure from acting less surprising. Jonathan Taylor Thomas's home improvement exit was far from smooth. Jonathan Taylor Thomas's maturity, long-term goals, and aversion to the spotlight ultimately outweighed his love of acting in 1998, leading him to leave Home Improvement at the start of its 8th season. His character, Randy Taylor, was written off on an environmental adventure to Costa Rica, freeing Thomas to attend a private school in Los Angeles and focus on life outside Hollywood. He didn't even return to film the series finale in 1999, opting instead to tour colleges on the East Coast, a decision that didn't sit well with his co-stars. Patricia Richardson, who played Jill Taylor, addressed his departure in a 1999 interview with TV Guide, as reported by the New York Post. She admitted, "It's a pretty sore point around here," adding, "I think there were a lot of bad feelings all along. I don't think it's a good idea that he didn't show up." Even Tim Allen, usually jovial, expressed frustration. "I was a little confused at why he didn't want to do this whole year. He said it was about going to school, but then he did some films. Did he want to do films? Did he want to go to school? Did Jonathan Taylor Thomas's mom have something to do with his exit?" Jonathan Taylor Thomas has always shared a close bond with his mother, Claudine. She often answered his fan mail and acted as a buffer between him and overzealous fans. JTT has mentioned that his mother even helped him select roles that suited his age and maintained his clean-cut image. Despite rumors, there's no evidence that Claudine pressured him to leave show business. In fact, a 1997 article in Premiere highlighted that Claudine was more focused on nurturing her son's character and intellect than managing his career. Throughout his early fame, Thomas always had his family's full support. If his mother played any role in his decision to step away from acting, it was simply to offer guidance and encouragement, not to push him out of the spotlight. Jonathan Taylor Thomas attended not one, but 3 elite schools. So, what does a child star do after leaving the spotlight? For Jonathan Taylor Thomas, the answer was school, but not just any school. He pursued an impressive academic path, attending 3 elite universities. He began his studies at Harvard University before spending a year abroad at St. Andrews University in Scotland. And it wasn't all quiet study time. The Scotsman reported that JTT was so popular among his peers that he was even considered a contender to steal fellow student Prince William's heartthrob status. Thomas later graduated from Columbia University's School of General Studies in 2010 under his birth name, Jonathan Weiss, earning an advanced degree. Reflecting on his academic journey in a 2013 interview with People, he said, "To sit in a big library amongst books and students, that was pretty cool," adding, "It was a novel experience for me." For JTT, stepping away from Hollywood meant immersing himself in a world of learning and discovery, far removed from the glare of fame. Jonathan Taylor Thomas dabbled in voice acting with the Wild Thornberries. Even while enjoying his time in school, Jonathan Taylor Thomas never fully stepped away from Hollywood. He maintained connections in the industry throughout the late 90s and early 2000s, and even returned to voice acting, revisiting one of his earlier successes with a recurring role on The Wild Thornberries. Airing on Nickelodeon from 1998 to 2004, The Wild Thornberries follows a family on their globe-trotting adventures, seen through the eyes of Eliza, their daughter who has the unique ability to talk to animals. In 2000, Thomas joined the show for a 6-episode arc during the 3rd season, playing Tyler Tucker, Eliza's cousin. His first episode, Tyler Tucker, I Presume, introduced the character and highlighted the playful rivalry between the cousins, who were close in age. Over the following episodes, Tyler and Eliza continued to compete with one another, often creating humorous complications for the entire Thornberry family. Jonathan Taylor Thomas made guest appearances on some popular shows. Jonathan Taylor Thomas didn't confine his post-Home Improvement appearances to cartoons. He also guest-starred on popular TV shows like Smallville, 8 Simple Rules, and Veronica Mars. On Smallville, Thomas took on the role of Ian Randall, a metahuman with the ability to create copies of himself. He made his debut in 2002 during Season 2, Episode 9, Dichotic, and returned later in Season 3, Episode 9, Asylum, showcasing both his acting skills and his famously toned physique. On 8 Simple Rules, Thomas appeared in a 3-episode arc as Jeremy, a geeky teenager who catches the attention of lead character Bridget, played by Kaylee Cuoco, as they collaborate on a science project. These episodes originally aired in 2004. The following year, he guest-starred on Veronica Mars, appearing in Season 1, Episode 18, Weapons of Class Destruction. He played Ben, a new student whom Veronica, portrayed by Kristen Bell, suspects may be behind a string of bomb threats at school. The 90s star reunited with his Home Improvement castmates on Last Man Standing. Perhaps Jonathan Taylor Thomas's most memorable return to television came when he reunited with his Home Improvement co-stars on ABC's Last Man Standing. His first guest appearance was in 2013, playing John Baker, a young man who quickly catches the attention of one of the main characters across 3 episodes. The highlight of his stint came when his character met Tim Allen's Mike Baxter. Their interaction included playful nods to the past, with Allen joking, "Man, you look familiar," and "That kid was raised right," referencing their iconic father-son relationship on Home Improvement. Thomas returned to Last Man Standing in 2015 for a single episode alongside Patricia Richardson, who had played his mother on Home Improvement. In Season 4, Episode 12, Richardson portrayed Helen Potts, a widow and Max Baxter's new neighbor, known for loudly working with power tools, a clever nod to her former neighbor character on the original show. In this episode, Thomas briefly appeared as her son, Randy, creating another fun connection to his Home Improvement days while playing a slightly different role. Jonathan Taylor Thomas has tried his hand at directing. Jonathan Taylor Thomas has also explored the other side of the camera, stepping into the director's chair for 3 episodes of Last Man Standing between 2013 and 2016. His interest in directing, however, isn't new. Back in 1996, when he was just 13, Thomas told Premiere magazine that while Hollywood hoped he would become the next Macaulay Culkin, he had bigger ambitions. He wanted to be the next Ron Howard. He even shared his plans with friends, hinting early on at his desire to work behind the scenes. Years later, in 2012, his former home improvement co-star Zachary Ty Bryan told Hollywood.com that he still kept in touch with Thomas, noting, "Thomas was going to Columbia University, he finally graduated. He's back out here in LA, and I think he's pursuing directing." Jonathan Taylor Thomas was reportedly working on a project with these child stars. Jonathan Taylor Thomas didn't stop at directing. He's also explored producing and writing. In 2017, he was elected to the SAG-AFTRA National Board, the governing body of the labor union that represents around 160,000 entertainment professionals across nearly every screen-related field. JTT has also reportedly been developing a project alongside his home improvement co-star Zachary Ty Bryan and former child star Macaulay Culkin. In a 2018 interview with Access, Bryan explained, "We're in talks of collaborating with Macaulay Culkin and his Bunny Ears brand. We kind of came up with a concept, presented it to them, and it looks like we're moving forward." Bunny Ears is Culkin's lifestyle and humor brand, creating content designed to enrich lives and inspire laughter. The collaboration between Thomas, Bryan, and Culkin has been described as a really wonderful pilot that is sort of R-rated, according to Patricia Richardson, another home improvement co-star, during a Reddit AMA in 2016. As of 2026, however, details about the project remain scarce, leaving fans hoping it's only delayed rather than canceled entirely. Jonathan Taylor Thomas regrets nothing. Jonathan Taylor Thomas has no regrets about stepping away from the spotlight. In a 2013 interview with People, he explained that after working non-stop since childhood, he needed a bit of a break. He wanted to focus on school, travel, and explore new experiences, and that's exactly what he did. As of now, JTT hasn't appeared on a red carpet since 2003 and maintains no public social media accounts. His exact whereabouts remain something of a mystery. "I never took the fame too seriously," he told People. "It was a great period in my life, but it doesn't define me." Looking back, he said, "When I think of that time, I look at it with a wink. I focus on the good moments I had, not that I was on a lot of magazine covers.